you or you? One, two, three. Welcome to another episode of Big Love Live, Tarek's community podcast. And today I'm joined by another special guest. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Christine Miura, and I'm in the United States in the San Francisco Bay Area.
It's funny. We have had so many guests from the United States. I think the United States has been the most popular country we've ever hit.
Right. Well, lots of people are doing podcasts and everybody's trying to find their tribe and their people. So I really appreciate the opportunity to show up today and share myself with you and your community.
So would you tell me a bit about yourself, Christine?
Well, I am an intuitive psychic clairvoyant, and I teach people how to get connected to their own intuition so that it reduces the static in their lives, meaning all those things that keep us disconnected. And I bring them back into wholeness so they can experience an integration of body, mind, and spirit.
I was going to ask the next question, what is it? But I think you kind of explained it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we walk around all the time trying to figure out, like, did that work? Did I say that right? Did I show up? And when you're connected to your intuition, you get that, what they call your sixth sense, but you also get the deeper connection to yourself. So you no longer look outside yourself going, is that right? Did I do that right? Your body actually tells you, your soul actually speaks to you and it says, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. Go that way. Or other times it'll go, no, danger, Will Robinson, danger. So yeah, it's really important that we're connected to our intuition. So
I like the word when you say connected. Why do you think connected is the most important?
Well, so many of us we grow up with our ego, defining, discerning, being analytical, thinking, using your noodle, because this is what we can understand. But our intuition is all about our feelings. It's about a way of being. It's about understanding something that comes from the ethers. Like you don't actually understand why you know that, but you know it. So when you're not connected to that part of yourself, you're actually rejecting and not having an entire experience of what it means to be a human spiritual being. And a lot of people are like, oh, intuition, oh, what's that? That's that good feely kind of thing. And in actuality, it is. It connects us to our goodness.
Yeah. So why? You keep taking my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think you're too good. So not a lot of people think that they're
intuition
good in themselves. So
their goodness, yeah. Well, yeah. That's the thing. When we get separated from our intuition, we don't have the ability to really, revel in our goodness. Because when we get disconnected, we get an immediate thing, which is called the fear frequency, which inside fear, there's scarcity, there's limitation, there's self-doubt, lack of confidence. So when we get separated from our intuition, that's taking us out of our wholeness, right?
Yep.
But I was thinking about this deeply one day, which is, why do we get separated from our intuition when we're young? And what ultimately does that serve? Well, that serves us the ability to step into the economic machine, always doubting ourselves, never really fully understanding who we are. And so we never get to live in that resonance of goodness, of positivity, of being open-minded. Yeah. And so that's why they separate us. Because gosh, what if every person on the planet really knew how amazingly wonderful they are? really love, was coming from that space of love and goodness and shared themselves that way to other people in the world, you'd have all these really happy people. Oh my gosh, no doom and gloom. Oh no, what would that mean? That we could live in a world of possibility and, magic and people being kind and loving to each other. Oh darn, that's too much. So we separate little ones from their intuition when they're young. And then we let them grow up as adults. And then they grow up as adults and they question themselves all the time. And they never feel like they're good enough to do anything.
I'm quite intrigued to know about your background wallpaper. It seems very creative. Would you tell us a bit about that?
My background of being who I am today, is that what you're asking?
No, the background on Zoom, that you have a fancy background saying divine. I can't really
Oh
read it.
yeah, well that's my business, Divine Soul Works. And that work is about getting you connected, like fully connected. So you get to embrace your intuition. And then if you want to do the next phase where you really find out why you came back on the planet, what your soul's mission is on the planet. And then in the last 5 months, we get to create the life and work that you want to really be in.
Yeah. So you said do you have any good experiences while you're doing this, helping other people? Do you have any good experiences that you can share with the young people?
Oh, well, I would love to work with young people, because if we could get to young people like middle school, high school, their lives would be so different, right?
Well, let me tell you something. You came to the right place. 'Cause
Awesome.
we have
Yeah.
we have 100 volunteers, including 5-year-olds. So you came to the right place.
Nice. Yeah. Well, the thing about kids is that the world hasn't beaten them down in such a way that they don't think that anything's not possible. So when you give them their creative nature, which is to be connected to their intuition and listen to the wisdom that's coming through them about, different things to do in the world, nothing stops them.
Yeah. So
right?
before we get on to like exactly like the things you help people with, would you tell me a bit more about what you do? Like, why have you decided to set up something like this personally?
Oh, well, God tapped me on the back of the shoulder.
I don't know
And
why. I thought I already asked that question, but
oh, well, I got tapped, from this from God, goddess, source, divine, that basically said, you are a messenger. You are a messenger. And that came to me. My husband had passed away. And during that process, I was crying. My heart was broken that he was leaving. And I said to God, why is this happening? I should be the one that's leaving and he should be staying with our boys. And God said to me, if you died first, Bruce, my husband, wouldn't be able to overcome your death. And secondly, you are the full expression of life and your boys need you. And lastly, you are Bruce's messenger, meaning that I would tell his story about his passing. But I realized as a marketer, I'm a messenger. I'm a spiritual messenger for others. And I'm here to serve on the planet.
If you don't mind me asking, when you say a spiritual messenger, what does that actually mean?
Well, it's having this conversation. It's waking people up to understand that their divinity, their spirit, comes through their intuition. Their intuition is the first step that allows them to have that connection, to understand that there's something greater than themselves.
Everyone's created by God, and we try and bring positivity in the world. That's what the aim of this project is. I try and bring as much as positivity in the world just by talking to people. And funny enough, I realized it's working. I don't know about you.
Congratulations.
I don't know about you, what you think about when you talk to people. Do you think people are understanding at the moment?
Understanding what I'm talking about, you mean? Or
no, like like, understanding that the world could be a better place if you talk to people, not keep yourself isolated.
Oh, right. Well, we are spiritual social beings, right? We need each other.
Yeah,
It's a
that's what I'm
it's a
trying to say.
it's a misnomer to think that you're an island or a lone wolf, like can do everything and be everything on your own. We as beings that we are, we're meant to interact. Some of us like to do it more than others. That's why you have introverts and extroverts. But there is an energetic exchange when people are communicating, when they're being in community. So yes, it's really important. Even if we're, during isolation, I did a lot of Zooming with, other podcasters, with people in my classes, even just doing it this two-dimensional way. There's still a social need that gets met, even though we aren't seeing each other physically.
I know this is my personal, so I'm not going to ask you, but have you had any experiences with anyone that you remember when you started this sort of project?
I'm not understanding the question.
I'm saying, have you had any, you've been doing this for a while, right? With people, talking to people.
Right.
I'm going to change it up a bit. Actually, this is a tricky part because I'm trying to, come up with something to get the young people to understand this message. So what would you say to young people to understand what you're trying to talk about today on the podcast? What's your message to young people?
Well, when you're young, you are really hooked up to your intuition. Your intuition is the part of you that's curious and loves to explore, and you have your feelings. And somebody along the way in your life said, "You're not feeling like that.
Yeah.
This is not what's going on. Here, let me tell you what's going on."
Hold on, I just have to pause the interview and I'll.
You want me to pause it? So the thing about little kids is that they are really connected to their intuition until some adult in their life, a parent, a teacher, a grandparent, church, social organization, somebody older than them says, "You're not feeling that. That's not what's going on. This is how it is." And it's that adult, projecting onto them, trying to use their influence and power over them. And once a child gives that up, knowing their own validation, understanding that they are hearing what they're hearing and that they're experiencing what's real for them, once they give that up, that's when they get separated. So I'm not saying saying to kids and teenagers, don't listen to your parents. I am saying that, there's a place and time for that, but be careful when you give it all up, that you don't trust yourself, when you feel like you don't, that you see something the way it is and somebody else is telling you a different story. When that conflict comes up, your body's going to tell you what's right and what's wrong. Trust yourself first.
I always say to myself, when I'm down, don't care whatever anyone says, just believe in yourself, then go to the person and face him. Say, look, I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stick up for yourself. That's what I always say. Don't let other people stop you what you're doing.
Well, here's a really deep insight. You, the individual, generic you, are the only one ever that is going to create your life. Your parents aren't going to do it. Your siblings aren't going to do it. No one's going to do it except you. So you always have the choice, that word choice, you always have the choice to make what's right for you. And,
Yeah.
you know, putting all those other things aside, whatever your parents want, whatever your grandparents want, whatever society is telling you to do. If it doesn't feel full, yummy, I always say like a heart melt. If it doesn't feel like that to you when it's a big life decision, when you're what and it feels like it's tight and it's contraction and you just know in your gut it just isn't the right thing, trust that, because that's your intuition and your body and your soul basically telling you that's not a good decision, don't do that. But when you feel, you know, love and you feel like your heart's melting and you feel like you're bathed in gooiness, I call it being juicy, you know, you feel big and expanded, that's a good place to go.
You know,
And that's not thinking, that's a feelingness in your body.
yeah, this reminds me today. Before I have came to you, I thought I was going to be late today. I had a big meeting today, regarding my home because there's a lot of problems, and I had to make decisions my own because you know, like when the Lord council asks you, oh, can your mother do this? Can your mother do that? You know, that's the question I don't like. You know, because obviously she can, but you know, because the authorities have to ask you. So I had to stand up and say, look, this is my life, and I'm said to my mum, please take control because I don't believe people living in my home because I live in supported living. And I said to my mum, yeah, please take the lead because I don't want to face it myself because there's a lot of problems there. And that reminds me of your example, you know, believe in yourself. Don't believe what other people say. I really like that. I thought I'd share that experience today.
Thank you.
So, what do you do? What you said you run sessions?
Yeah, I have private and group sessions. So I have a program that people can participate in, and it's broken up. It's a 12-month program, but it's broken up into 3 segments. So if you can only do one part at a time, that's fine.
I would love to do it myself because sometimes I have a lot of problems, and yeah, I would love to do it. So
Awesome.
how can people get involved with your program, or would you tell us a bit about the program while we're here?
Right. So the thing about intuition is when you're getting really connected and clearing away the static. So I work with healers, already healers who have a connection, but it might not be really strong. And I work with people that are interested in self-realization and are on the path. So the way it works is we have group sessions. So there might be, you know, anywhere between 5 and 12 people in the group. And we get to come to the sessions in a group and ask all the things that we never get to talk about anywhere else. And that's all related to your soul and your spirit. And it might even be events and experiences that you had that you don't know, was that real? Did that really happen to me? Oh, that's so weird. That's usually how people explain it. But what it really is it's the divine touching you, giving you an experience that is magical and can shift your life, you know, into a upward vibrational frequency. So I'm not sure if I answered your question. I tend to get a little out there when I'm talking about all this, but
Try not to ask the most difficult questions.
no, it's okay. I love talking about it, but if you haven't had an experience like that, it might seem a little bit esoteric to you. That's all.
So, so how can people get involved with the program?
Oh, well, they can contact me at my Christine Miura at gmail.com. You can just send me a little email. You can contact me on Facebook, which is how you and I got connected. And it's the same name at Christine Miura, or on Instagram. So
do you mind if you put the links at the bottom of this video?
Yes, I will. I'll put all of my social media contacts in my email. for
Then
sure.
Do you mind if we put it underneath the video? So when we do
No, I don't mind. You can totally do that.
so yeah. So what are your? I forgot to ask you a question. The final question is like, what's your main goal with doing all of this? You know, what's your hope?
My hope is that I get to see the light in everybody's eyes, that I get to see that they are on the flipped in the on switch where it comes to being connected to your spirit. And so, you know, the thing about being connected much of the time is that you understand your purpose, your wholeness, your goodness, and what you came back to do and how to serve humanity. So if I can touch as many lives as possible, that people can be walking around being source inside themselves, knowing that they're love, that they're hope and happiness, and that they get to change themselves and touch others. You know, it's like the ripple effect when you put the pebble in the water and it keeps going out. Like that's my hope, is that everyone gets to get the light lit inside of them so they understand.
That's a good message. But my second question, my last question was gonna ask you, what's your message to the community today? But I think you kind of answered it, unless you want to stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah, my message is that God made you perfectly perfect, imperfect. That you were given everything that you needed in the world to be goodness, and that you just have to remember that you're all of that. That you were given this package of divinity that you can share your heart freely and open, and be the loving, kind person that you came to the planet to be. And for all those people who may not resonate in that space, I totally get it. But in the end, that's what it's all about. How many people's lives have you touched? What goodness have you brought forward to them that that others can bathe themselves in so that they can heal? Because that's what we're here to do.
That's a really good message. I know I'm trying to get it mainly concentrated on the young people as well. So what would you say to the young people to encourage them to remember in difficult times to be themselves? Don't allow anyone, to hold you back.
Well, the thing about young people is they have innate wisdom, and they are of light. And when their light gets extinguished, it's because somebody's hurt them in such a way that they start doubting themselves and wondering if they're good enough. So if you're a young person, if you're confused or you don't feel like you have hope, take a deep breath, because your breath is the elixir of living. So just take a deep breath down to your belly button and hold it, and exchange love and compassion and generosity for fear, anxiety, scarcity in your breath. You blow all that out into the universe. And then take another deep breath. And at the end of doing that, 3 to 5 times, it's resetting your nervous system so that you can be reconnected. And you just have to remember as a young one that you are light. You're divine.
Yes. This is going to shock you now, but thank you for joining me on the show today. So we would like to invite you to run some of the 12-week program for our participants at the Heston West. We're going to go through Zoom because I know you can't travel. But imagine if you come to UK one day, that would be so cool.
I know. I'm starting to get friends all over the world. So I have a friend in France that I met, and another friend in Italy, and somebody in South Africa. And now I have you. So there you go.
So we would like you to run some of the program for us for the UK, if you don't mind. And
Okay.
also, we would like you to become one of the hosts for this podcast as well.
All right. Well, I'd love to. Thank you for the invitation.
To help me run some of the shows with me, because I think you'll be good for the young people to try and encourage them. So thank you for joining me today. Just a quick one, just to say thank you to the local trust for funding another podcast, and a happy anniversary to the podcast, because I didn't get to celebrate it. It was 2 years on April 4th officially. So thank you for local trust for funding it, and thank you to Taz, but he's not here. But thank you for actually recording it, and thank you to you for recording it as well. This is Tarek's Community Podcast, and goodbye.